गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Where are we? 754. Okay. We are in Amrutanubhava, chapter 7, recap 6, I think. Every thought represents subject-object duality. An object is further divided into dualism and duality. The contact between the subject and the pairs of opposites is natural. That is the nature of the Indriya senses, which are looters on the path of spiritual evolution. To fix attention on the junction between the two thought, which means not being influenced by raga dvesha, is yoga bhumika. Pure self is beyond seeing and not seeing and exists as pure knowingness. Therefore, the spiritual seeker should not allow any concept to be formed. Living a disciplined life destroys the following. What does disciplined life mean? In general, yes, control over senses, sattvic life. Living in such a manner that you have got no free moment. Nothing happens in your life without your knowledge. Not even a thought. That is discipline. That you are alert about everything. That will, it does not mean that you have to be looking at what is going on. You will get mad otherwise. But remaining aware of everything that is taking place. Continuously perfecting yourself. And that can be brought about by very simple. Remain alert about the self, automatically the alertness in the outside world will start happening. What does it destroy? 1. Desire, anger, greed, delusion, vanity, envy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. The five senses, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, organs of action. What are organs of action? Speech, hands, legs, genital organ and the anus. Objects, that is all the objects of the world. 5 pranas, they are pran, apan, vyan, udan, saman. And the karma. Karma is nitya karma, nisheda karma, all this. Third, 4 states of life: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyasa. The studentship, householder, retired, vanaprastha is retired and sannyasa is renunciation. All this idea goes out of your head. Because all these are creating, if you notice, all these are creating distance between you and yourself. waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, they also get destroyed. Subject object duality, that also gets destroyed. Purusha Prakriti Bheda, Purusha Prakriti Bheda, the consciousness and matter, that they are separate to each other, that also gets destroyed. And finally, holding on to one non dual Brahman will effortlessly lead to Yoga Bhumika. So that's what we are doing in the meditation. Hold on to the one, hold on to the self. Don't allow yourself to be. I should not use this. You don't allow yourself to be carried away by the thoughts. No. Let the thoughts come, let the thoughts not come. How does it matter? But remaining in that disposition that I am without me, the thoughts cannot come. In my presence, the thoughts are coming and going. This fine tuning is required. To remain as a wave is unnatural. To be water is natural. So also thinking is an abnormality. It is self-begetting. To come to the point of no thought is to come back to our essential nature. Exactly the same thing. That thinking is an abnormality. Why does thinking begin? Only because we have distanced ourselves from ourselves, and that very moment subject object duality begins, and that subject object duality brings about the triputi, the triad, knower known knowing, hearer heard hearing, seer seen seeing, experiencer experiencing, and we get lost in that triputi. The self is of the nature of knowingness as well as of not knowingness. This I who was knowing continues to be the same as the one not knowing. So who is this I who is knowing, and what is it knowing? It is knowing the presence of various thoughts. And what is it not knowing? The absence of thoughts. And where are the thoughts coming and going? That is happening in the mind. But the I is not coming and going. I is continuously is present. Knowership and non-knowership are not valid in the pure self. Truth is known to those who do not know. And those who know nothing about it. This is Kena Upanishad. In Kena Upanishad, that was, I can't remember the verse. Viditam matam, viditam madhi, something like that it comes. So truth is known to those who do not know. What do they not know? They do not know, or that, in other words, they are totally disconnected from the world. And those who know nothing about it. And those who think that they have come to know the truth, and I know it, still they are too far away from it. It's just a figment of imagination in the mind that they have reached it. In the 28th wave, Atma is knowledge. I become the knower of an object not because of the known, but because I am the nature of self-effulgence. The former is the shadow, the pseudo-I, the latter is the substratum, the light, the pure consciousness, the real I. I, the pure consciousness, is able to create the shadow of a pseudo-subject which exists with reference to an object and suffers. Just like I am the real person, out of me the sun comes out with respect to the object called mother. Exactly the same way. This is the pseudo I, which is the ghost I, which is calling itself sun. Similarly, now the ghost takes different roles. Sometimes it becomes the seer, sometimes it becomes the hearer, sometimes it becomes the knower, sometimes the experiencer. And all these pseudo I's are only on account of what is present in front of it. But the one who knows the real I, it never changes. The pseudo I keeps changing the role, but the real I remains the same, and that I am. Consciousness, I, the pure consciousness, is able to create shadow of a pseudo subject which exists with reference to an object and suffers. In the pure self, there is no knower known difference. If this seer alone manifests as the seen, if the seer alone manifests as the seen, it is not necessary to call the self as the seer. Why are you calling yourself by different names when it is only you? Why are you calling water as wave when you are touching, feeling, tasting as water only? Water, then why you are calling it wave? When you are seeing, touching, feeling gold, why are you calling it ornament? Exactly the same way. When you are the self, why are you calling yourself seer, hearer, toucher, taster, etc.? Because our attention is on name and form. That is why. Our attention should be on that real principle, the unchanging principle. So the true knowledge is of the Atma. Atma is all knowing. It is self-knowing. It doesn't need a medium through which knowledge can take place. What is that? It does not need thoughts to know itself. And that is what we are trying, isn't it? In the 29th OV, ignorance is meaningless. If one argues ignorance does not allow the self to know the self, then which is meaningless? The self or ignorance? The self is pramana atita. The knower, the object known, the knowledge of the object, and the knowingness of the object are all illumined by the same consciousness. To say that the truth is revealed only when it manifests is meaningless. To know gold to be gold, one does not require an ornament. So therefore this statement that the reality, the infinite reality, the Satchidanand, formless, attributeless Brahman, the only way we can come to know it is when it manifests as the creation. Sometimes they say no, that you can come to know the reality only through its manifestation. This happens in the where the duality is taken to be the real. But no, it exists independent of manifestation. You don't need, and the example given here, very, very nicely put, but we have to think in that manner, that you don't need an ornament to know the gold. You don't need to have the pot to know the mud. You don't need to have the wave to know water. And similarly, we don't need to have form and name in order to know the reality. So nice. One does not require ornaments to know gold to be gold. Manifestation or the absence of manifestation has nothing to do with the pure existence that I is. In the phenomena of the seer seen, the seer is the reality and seen is like the reflection, meaningless. When we are standing in front of the mirror, we are the reality, the reflection is meaningless. It is existing in its own absence. So, everything that is appearing in your mind, in fact, the mind itself, is meaningless. All thoughts, all objects, all emotions, all convictions, all ideas, all names and forms are meaningless. Because remember, what is an experience? Whenever we experience something, let it be a thought or an object, asti, bhati, priya, nama, roop. Nama, roop is the phenomena. Asti, bhati, priya is the reality. So what is phenomena? If thoughts are coming, as divine they may be, even they are talking about the self and all these words that we are reading right now, they are all a phenomena only. The self is other than this. It is not affected. In the phenomena of the seer seen, the seer is the reality and seen is like the reflection, meaningless. And why do we get disturbed? Why do we get agitated? Because we take the reflection to be real and we want to change that reflection. The world. We want to change that reflection. We want to control that reflection. We want to dictate to that reflection. We want to make the reflection subservient. And that is not possible because it is not existing in the first place. 30th way, one more possibility of ignorance is removed. The seen does not exist and can be seen. The seen does not exist. This can be seen. How can it be seen? Because it is existing in its own absence. So how can one deny ignorance or duality? The seen is like the blueness of the sky, which is non-existence, yet it is seen. Mirage is non-existence, yet you see the water. But the seer does not suffer the duality. The eyes see the blueness. There is seeing, but there is no seen. The eyes see the blueness, there is seeing, but there is no seen. The Atma never loses its absolute status, whether it is seeing or not seeing, whether it is one or many. Atman is always the independent knower, whether the knowerhood is imposed on it or not, with reference to the known world. This example is very beautiful. The eyes see the blueness, there is seeing, but there is no seen. Then what are you seeing? What are we seeing then? And that is the status of the entire world. In that world, we have taken these two examples of mirage and blueness of the sky, but that is the status of the entire world. One does not become big or small because of the importance given to us by others. A king is always a king, whether other tell him so or not. So also the Atman is neither glorified nor belittled by being referred to as a seer with reference to the seen or not. So the Atman is self-existing. It can never become ignorant. Oh, you are ignorant about the self, therefore you must practice spirituality. You You cannot be. Here Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying it is never possible, it has never happened that you have become ignorant of yourself. Then who is saying that you are ignorant? The mind. The reflection is saying that I don't know the original.
But the reflection can never know the original.
Exactly. It can never know the original. Thirty-first wave, one more doubt is raised and answered. If Atman is existing in its own glory without being the seer, then why has the world been created? This is not so. Without I, the pure consciousness, who is establishing the pseudo subject and the object, which are revealing the pseudo subject? This total perception is seen in the life of Bhagavan Krishna, who, even when he talked, even when he was dynamically active, never forsook the silence. Therefore, I, the pure self, is neither justified nor revealed because of the pseudo self. I, the real I, is never revealed by the pseudo self. So, which is the pseudo self right now? The seeker. Seeker is an idea in our head. Seeker, I am a seeker, is in the mind. This idea can never come to know the reality. So the question was, if Atman is existing in its own glory without being the seer, then why has the world been created? The teacher said that is not possible. From the absolute self point of view, from the Atman point of view, there is nothing called the world in the first place. From the ornaments, gold point of view, there are no ornaments. From the water point of view, there are no waves. From the self point of view, there is no world. World is only in the mind. It's a phenomena. It's existing in its own absence. Is the lamp established by the person who lights the lamp, or does the lamp establish the person? The light is the knower of the subject. Darkness is the known the object. The truth is beyond the light and darkness. Na sat na asat uchyate. The self alone reveals all that is seen. He alone is the objective world. In other words, the subject object is just like a wave is not other than the water. Similarly, this whole world is not other than the self. See, when he says, is the lamp established by the person who lights the lamp, or does the lamp establish the person? So, are you the, what is important? The one who is lighting the lamp? So it was dark and you could not see. You took the light, you took the matchbox, you lighted the lamp. Now in the light of the lamp, you are able to see each other. Before there was darkness, you could not make out the objects in the room. Now you are able, because they are lighted by the lamp, you are able to make out the objects, you can see them, isn't it? And that is the question that is asked here. So the answer to that is, the light is the knower, and that light is illuminating the lamp light as well as the darkness. When we say because of the lamp is illuminating the room and therefore I am able to see my body or other bodies, that is at the phenomenal level. So the teacher is bringing us back to the original light, which is the light of the self, in whose presence the light of the lamp or the darkness of the room both come and go. Other than the consciousness, nothing else is. Subject and object are both objects for the supreme subject. But the supreme subject, the absolute subjectivity, is not affected either by the presence or the absence of the objects. In that, even the darkness becomes an object. All these examples are in recapping what Swamiji is taking. And if you see, if you are alert to it, in every recapping, the thought you are brought back to, I won't even say you are brought back to who you are. You are being self is not due to remembering because remembering will be through thoughts, isn't it? But that is the only tool we have at the moment. So he is bringing us back to ourselves. He is making us recognize that in spite of all this talking, in spite of all these words, in spite of all the seeking, in spite of all the examples that are taken, the philosophy that is being presented, you are as you are. Because of that, you don't become. You are in spite of all this. In the 32nd wave, not OV, 32nd wave, manifestation is not in a sequence. Ajatavada. Manifestation is not in sequence, like objects first and subject later. It is simultaneous, as in a dream. The grandfather and grandson appear simultaneously. Atman itself manifests as seer and seen, as subject and object. So, the Darwinian theory of evolution, everything happens slowly, that is not there. You cannot say first the subject came, then the object came. Or you cannot say the first subject came, then the subject came. No. Both of them appear simultaneously. They are both coexisting in the mind. There is no distance between the subject and the object. The distance between the subject and the object is an imaginary one. That means the subject between you and me, the subject between the world and me, this is an imaginary one. In the 33rd wave, non-duality in manifestation. Although the Atman manifests as many, yet his non-dual nature is never lost. He continues to be as he is. If water itself is appearing as the waves, the distance between the waves is imaginary, because wave is nothing but water. The other wave is also nothing but water. Water is water. Then where is this difference that I am separate to that person? And mind is existing in its own absence. Wow. So water, here if we take, although the Atman manifests as many, the water manifests as many waves, yet his non-dual nature is never lost. The non-dual nature of the water is never lost. The non-dual nature, even though the self exists as manyness, what is the manyness? Manyness of the thoughts. Yet its non-dual nature is never lost. He continues to be as he is. 34th wave, the truth cannot be compared to anything. It is impossible to find any simile to explain the self and its manifestation. The world is contained within the consciousness. Since there is no separation on any account, It is difficult, nay impossible, to find an appropriate example to precisely explain its unique nature. Atman is only like itself. Oh, Atman is a self knowing. Now tell what self knowing is. You will employ words to explain self knowing. But self knowing does not need words. It is self consciousness. Again, you are using words to trying to explain what self consciousness is. No. Atman is only like itself. In the 35th wave, there is no ignorance at all in the Atman. To call such pure consciousness as ignorance is most illogical. It is no use arguing with those who hold such a view. That which illumines everything from Shiva to the inert matter cannot be ignorance. How? See, he is taking us so deep. He is just cutting all the unwanted. That which illumines everything from the Shiva to the inert matter cannot be ignorance, cannot be inertness. So if you are knowing Shiva, the various gods, you know the inert objects of the world, who is that knower? It cannot be ignorant. He cannot be ignorant. Illumining everything. Or he himself is appearing as everything. In the 36th wave, the thought of ignorance in Atman is totally meaningless. There is no possibility of proving by any means that ignorance exists in the truth. To call consciousness as ignorance is sinful. To insist on it is doubly sinful. This idea of ignorance is to be totally dropped, and that which is the substratum of everything is to be concentrated upon. And more than concentrated upon, be that. Accept yourself without any name and form as that pure consciousness, as that one which is in spite of the presence and absence of all the thoughts while you are contemplating. See, what is when we are reading using all these words, our focus is not on the words, should not be on the words, because these words are indicating something, someone else, isn't it? Similarly, while we are thinking, remain as that who is illuminating all the thinking, in whose presence all this thinking is going on, or non-thinking is going on. Then we are there. Then that is the substratum. That is the foundation. 37th wave, ignorance cannot be the attribute of knowledge, the substance, dharma, adharma, adharmi bhava. Just as nectar cannot come out of kalakuta poison, ignorance cannot be born out of knowledge. Even if it did, it will disappear in the presence of ignorance. Yeah? Ignorance cannot be born out of knowledge. Even if it did, it will disappear. I think there is something wrong here.
Knowledge can
It will disappear in the presence of ignorance, it is written. It should be in the presence of knowledge. Even if it did, it will disappear in the presence of knowledge. Therefore, 38th wave, the conclusion of this 7th chapter, the world may appear as multiplicity, but is only pure consciousness. What the Upanishads declare about the entire world being illumined by the Atman cannot be in vain. Ignorance cannot be proved to exist in any way. It can never be the cause of this world. Nothing other than the pure self, the absolute I, is the cause of the world. When one is neither sympathetic to the seen nor to the seeing, then alone one can transcend the trio of the seer, seen, seeing. See, then why do we say that there is ignorance? Where is it told that there is ignorance? When we are in the Prakaran Granthas, Atma Bodh, Tattva Bodh, Vivek Chudamani, in certain commentaries, we see that, oh, this whole world is an expression of, it came out of ignorance. Because our mind is so much caught up in cause and effect, it needs to be given an answer in that effect only. And therefore, just to pacify this churning mind, to pacify, quieten this inquiring mind, that who is seeking answers, and he seeks answers only in cause and effect. He finds, looking at the effect, he wants to find the cause. For such a mind, as long as it is remaining in the loop of thinking, he is not going to be able to transcend thinking. And therefore it is told, this interim step is brought about, that forgetfulness of the self brings about the birth of ignorance. Forgetful of the self is ignorance. And that ignorance, what is ignorance now? That you do not know the self. But is it so that is an interim step, because you don't know the self. You are still seeking. But Jnaneshwar Maharaj is not beginning from there. He says, even if you have, there is not a possibility that you can forget the self. So this idea which you have studied before, that there is ignorance which expresses as kama karma, avidya kama karma. Avidya is the cause and desire is the effect. Desire is the cause, action is the effect. This is not possible. He straight away denying the presence of ignorance itself. See? But this again, the way Jnaneshwar Maharaj has presented himself, presented here, it's from his height of realization. Swamiji has given a commentary on it from where he is. And if we cannot raise ourselves, uddharet atmanatmanam, if we cannot raise ourselves to that absolute, we cannot understand this. We'll again try to work out, oh, but how can ignorance cannot be there? What scriptures are saying is wrong. Which scripture? Every scripture eventually says the entire is an expression, is nothing but the self. There is only one without a second principle. If that is the ultimate goal that you have to reach, then where is the question of ignorance? Then we have to understand that this idea of ignorance was only an interim stage. Just like the theory of rebirth is an interim theory, so that we take responsibility. Who takes responsibility? The jiva. Who is this jiva who thinks he is not the reality? Who thinks he is a limited being? For him this theory was given. Reincarnation theory was given. Sanchit karma, prarabdha karma and agami karma theory was given. This is only to sort out where he finds himself, so that the challenges that are coming, why they are coming, because of what they are coming, all that settles down in his mind, so that he is free to think of higher possibilities. Jnaneshwar Maharaj is talking from the highest possibility, that is the self. It's not a possibility, it is a fact. So one must understand from where a particular text is being taken, what is in the what context it is taken, then we will be able to appreciate it.
This is the highest text, isn't it?
I feel there is nothing else. What else can be there after this?
That's right.
To say it is the highest also, it is all that there is. Now next week, the topic of Jnana Khandana. That just like in this big chapter of the 7th chapter, the ignorance was denied in the self, now the knowledge will also be denied in the self. Knowledge and ignorance coexist. Just like subject and object, that knowledge and ignorance.
How lucid his understanding is that he can actually put it in compartmentalization.
What is that?
Ganesha Maharaj,
Huh.
how and he cleverly he's understood everything, that he could actually compartmentalize everything.
It only comes as grace. See, yesterday I was doing Bhagavatam and there a beautiful thought came. We'll conclude with this. And the thought was that Parikshit Maharaj is talking, asking Shukdevji Maharaj that you have told me the story of Dantavakra, Shishupal, this, that, but I want to know more. Balramji has gone to the pilgrimage and all that story. He says, I want to know more. This Krishna is the self alone, and he alone is the seer, he alone is the hearer, he alone is the experiencer, he alone is the knower, exactly like that. And while he is saying this, Shukdevji Maharaj goes into Samadhi. Listening that Krishna Bhagavan alone is the Atma of everyone and he alone is expressing through the various senses and the mind, Shukdevji Maharaj listening to this few verses, he goes into Samadhi. Open-eyed Samadhi. And Parikshit, he says, please tell me more Leelas of the Lord. And the story of Sudama begins. Yesterday we started the story of Sudama ji. And this story of Sudama, here it is told, Shukdevji Maharaj is in Samadhi state, and from that Samadhi state he is telling the story of Sudama. What does it mean? If you understand, Samadhi is a state of no thought mind, no thought and no mind. Isn't it? I? No, he's talking. This is where we, according to yoga, chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga.
It is happening.
No, wait. So chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga. Meaning, you are on the seat of meditation, you have all your thoughts have cessated, dissolved, and you are in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But a person who is a devotee, what is his Nirvikalpa Samadhi? He is Nirvikalpa. See, now what happens? He, while chanting the name of the Lord, remembering the Lord, thinking about the Leelas of the Lord, the only theme in his mind is the Lord, and deep inside he has become one with him. And yet the chanting continues, yet the speech continues, even though the union is there. Krishna Bhagavan is ever in union with himself, yet doing all the actions out there in the world. Great Mahatmas we see, they are continuously in union. There is not one moment that the forgetfulness happens about the self. They are ever abiding in themselves, yet all activity takes place, isn't it?
But that Shukadev's Ji's state, isn't it for every Mahatma at all times?
Yes, but here it is being brought that from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when the speech comes, it is the most pure one. Therefore, yesterday the thought that came to me was that whenever we want to get initiated or we want to get mantra from anyone, we must take it from a person who's established in that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In, in, in this book, Amrutanubhava, remember we did Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para? Any person who has reached the Paravani, only from such a person we should take the mantra, not from any Tom, Dick and Harry. Because he has made that mantra siddh in himself. He has reached the goal that mantra was indicating. Mantra can never reach the goal. Mantra was only the vehicle. But he has reached the goal. And mantra is continuing because phenomena has to continue. From such a person, if you take the mantra, your growth will be... Because mantra is in the end only a jump start process. You have to continue with it and make it your own. Just because someone else gave it to you does not mean that you will also realize it. He has given his energy to you through the mantra. Now you build upon it. So this is how what you said is correct. All Mahatmas, realized masters, they are continuously in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi and functioning. They are speaking, they are acting, whatever is happening, but they are ever in union with themselves. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.